Her voice cut through the soft hum of champagne flutes and murmured conversation like a knife through silk. "Still alone, I see," she smirked, with that same venom-laced curve of the lips I once mistook for charm. I met her gaze, calm and unshaken. I even smiled, because tonight wasn't about small talk, it was about closure. Or maybe something colder, for years ago. She left me for a man with deeper pockets and a yacht big enough to cast a shadow over the very life we'd built together. His name was Carter Vale, tech mogul, billionaire, the kind of man who didn't just shake hands, he bought them. I watched her step into his world like a moth drawn to a mansion's chandelier. She and I had crafted a life out of hope, heart, and an ever-growing stack of unpaid invoices. But when my business began to buckle, when the tides turned rough and the storms came in hard, she didn't weather them with me. She jumped ship. I still remember the night I found the text. "He'll never be you, but I'm done being broke." She had sent it to a friend, not expecting me to ever see it. I read it at 3:17 a.m., lying alone in the bed we once shared. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream. The next morning, I kissed her forehead, packed her bags myself, and smiled as she walked out of my life. She thought I had broken, but I hadn't. I had woken up. The plan didn't appear fully formed, it evolved like wildfire in slow motion. Because revenge, the kind that tastes right, isn't served cold, it's brewed, aged like fine whiskey or battle plans etched in silence. First, I studied. I consumed every bit of information I could find about Carter Vale, his businesses, his partnerships, his enemies. I studied corporate structures, learned the mechanics of hostile takeovers, and mapped the ecosystem of backdoor acquisitions and shell companies. Then I disappeared from her world, from the cocktail circuits, from the social calendars. I reemerged, not on red carpets but in boardrooms, not under chandeliers but under shareholder lights. I created 3 shell companies, backed by silent investment firms, and drafted one acquisition proposal disguised beneath 6 layers of corporate anonymity. Carter signed the deal without ever knowing my name. He unknowingly sold off 30% of his tech empire to a ghost, and 6 months later, I owned enough to whisper in the right ears. When his latest product launched, thanks to a leaked prototype, I'd arranged to conveniently appear in a rival's hands. The whispers in the boardroom turned to votes. One rainy Tuesday, I sat in the shadows and watched Carter Vale get ousted from his own kingdom. And there she was beside him, my ex. No tears, no passion, just empty eyes and a withered heart. Watching the walls cave in, she thought that was the worst day of her life. She was wrong, because now we're here at this glittering gala, this theater of vanity dressed in designer labels and veiled intentions. She saw me standing by the marble bar, whiskey in hand, alone, or so she thought. Her pride couldn't resist. She approached, twisting the knife with her usual smugness. "Still alone, I see." And that's when she walked in. Elena. She moved like a whispered secret, precise, composed, devastating. A Harvard-educated corporate lawyer with eyes that could read through lies and a mind sharp enough to rewrite destinies. The former general counsel to Carter Vale, and the woman who had helped me dismantle his empire from the inside. Elena glided across the room and gently linked her arm through mine. We didn't need words. The glance we exchanged said it all. Years of strategy, trust, and a bond built not from betrayal but from battle. My ex's face blanched. I could see the truth piecing itself together behind her widened eyes. Elena, the private investor who funded my resurgence, the lawyer who orchestrated Carter's silent dismissal, the woman who held the strings behind every legal document that drained their assets like a slow bleed. And now my wife. You're married, my ex choked out, disbelief dragging her voice into a whisper. Elena smiled, soft, poised, lethal. Almost a year now. I lifted my glass with a small, measured sip. We wanted to keep it quiet. You know how people talk. The color didn't just drain from her face, it collapsed entirely. Her posture tightened, the hand gripping her glittering clutch began to tremble. Her husband, the man she left me for, was now a disgraced pariah. His empire fractured, their assets frozen under the weight of a lawsuit Elena had filed that very morning. And the woman who orchestrated every step of their downfall was now Mrs. Pierce. I didn't say much. I didn't have to. I leaned in, just enough for her to hear me over the rising notes of the orchestra. Still alone, I see. The words hit her like a mirror breaking across her throat. Her eyes darted around, desperate for refuge, before landing on Carter across the room. He stood in a muted gray suit, jaw clenched, speaking to a man who used to call him boss. Carter didn't look back. I let the silence expand like a storm, watched her shoulders pull in tight, watched her nails dig into that designer clutch she used to flaunt. This wasn't fury. It was realization. Every gala she dragged me to, every deal she swore I couldn't make, every time she whispered that I wasn't enough, I remembered it all. I carried those wounds like flint and steel, and tonight she finally understood. I wasn't alone. I was ahead. Elena and I walked past her slowly, deliberately. The kind of unspoken triumph that doesn't need music to be a crescendo. Eyes followed us, heads turned. But we didn't stop until we stood in the center of the room where Carter waited. Pride cracking behind his teeth, Elena spoke first. "I'll have my office send over the final terms." Carter's jaw locked. "You won't get away with this." I met his gaze, calm and unblinking. "Already did." We didn't wait for a reply. I took my wife's hand, and together, we turned and left. The power wasn't in the words we spoke. It was in the silence they had no defense against. By dawn, the city would know. By Monday, there would be ruins beneath the skyline they once ruled. I didn't do this because they left me. I did it because they believed I would stay down, that I wouldn't rise, that I wouldn't remember. I never hated her for walking away. I hated that she looked back and saw no reason to regret it. Now she watches me leave with everything she threw away, and I sleep like a man who finally traded every scar for a smile.